Welcome to Women Winning Divorce with your host, Heather Quick. Heather brings over 20 years of law experience that advocates and empowers women to achieve happier and healthier lives. Each week, we provide knowledge and guidance on different aspects of family law to help lead women through the difficult and emotional legal challenges that they are facing. Listen in as she discusses issues including divorce, custody, alimony, paternity, narcissism, mediation, and other family law issues to provide insight on the journey of women winning divorce. Welcome to the show. I'm Julie Morgan, and I'm joined by your host, Heather Quick. Heather, it's good to see you again.
Great to see you, Julie. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing wonderful, thank you.
We won't tell everyone about the technical difficulties because that's just going to bore them to death.
Indeed. Everybody's tired of hearing about, internet and computer problems.
I know, right? But we will talk about narcissism. All right, so we've talked about narcissism in general, right? We've talked about being married to a narcissist. Now we're talking about divorcing a narcissist. Okay, we're going to kind of go back just a little bit, just in case someone missed the previous episodes. Tell everyone, what is a narcissist?
So, when dealing with a narcissist or that personality, you're going to find somebody who's, very obsessed with themselves and self-centered. Their ego takes over and everything's really about them. But they're very charming. They can be very smart and they can appear, particularly in the beginning, to be extremely loving and attentive. And it is the pattern that they, have, and they also, seem that way to everybody else. They're like the guy that everybody likes. Oh my God, he's the greatest guy. He's always the life of the party, but basically because he's talking about himself most of the time. And, where we get to the, pathological side is then they can become extremely, and they are controlling and control every aspect of your life, and are also very, when we talk about self-obsessed, but then always a victim, which I know it doesn't seem to make sense because you're like, oh, they act like this big, strong person who is so intelligent, but if anything goes wrong in the house or anything goes wrong in the marriage, it's your fault. Never their fault. They never really take responsibility for their own actions.
Okay. And that is like just a really quick understanding of what a narcissist is. But we dug really deep into that over the past few episodes. Yeah. So
Yes, we
if
did.
if you have not heard those episodes, please go to our website, womenwinningdivorce.com, and listen to those episodes. All righty. So you just gave the definition of what a narcissist is, right? They have to be in control all the time. So asking for a divorce is probably not going to go over very well with them.
Correct. Divorcing a narcissist it can be challenging, and it will be challenging. So that's why it's really helpful to understand what you're getting into. Then you may not feel as blindsided, but it's difficult to gauge really how they will react, given they're notorious for overreacting and extreme mood swings. And so you need to be prepared. Don't really maybe confront them with this. I just don't see how that goes well. Many times, women ask me, well, I really feel like I should tell him first. I was like, do you think that he would tell you first? No. And, what I ask, women all the time is, how often have you guys talked about divorce, or have you threatened it? And often that has come up over the past. And I was like, and have you ever done it? And they're like, no. So therefore, he's not going to believe you. Like, what do you think is really going to come out of telling him you're going to divorce him? Are you doing it to see if he's flowers you with attention and gifts and tries to tell you it's going to be different, or he's going to dismiss it and not believe it? So, or could escalate into a big fight. So, you really need to be careful. I just usually advise that is not what I advise, to discuss it and talk to them and tell them what you're going to do.
Okay. Okay, wait a minute. All right. So how do they find out? If you don't discuss it and tell them, how do they, well, someone sends them a summons or something like that, right?
We serve them, exactly. A process server serves them with divorce papers. And this is about if this is what you're doing, okay, and you're married to a narcissist and you're ready for a divorce, now it's time to be smart. And now it's time to listen to your attorney and, follow our advice on the best way to proceed. I recommend we hire a process server. Now, the process server can call him. It's not about embarrassing him. We don't have to go in front of him at work and do all these things and, say, hey, here are the papers. You've been served. And with a private process server, which in most counties you can have a private process server, you don't need to use the sheriff's office. You can coordinate that. So maybe it's not, the weekend all the family's coming in town, or, it's where you maybe have a little bit of a breather, so that allowing for a cooling off period potentially if he does, overreact or get very angry.
Okay, wait a minute. All right, so wait a minute. Well, let's back up just a little bit. I didn't realize there were private process servers.
Yes, there are.
Okay, and so that would kind of, because, okay, the other process server through the sheriff's office, you said, is that more of random? Whenever they get to it, they get to it?
Yes, and usually you can, it does happen within, maybe 3 to 4 days, but you don't know when. And so therefore, like, sometimes people have already maybe even separated or come up with a schedule, like when the kids are, with your husband or with you. And therefore, it makes a lot more sense to plan it so he's not with the kids the whole weekend on that Friday. Or you're like, yeah, I'm about to go out of town and he's going to be with the kids by himself. It's like, well, do you really want to do that on that Friday? Maybe we wait till you return so that, when he reacts to this and potentially explodes, not saying a bunch of things in front of the kids. That's really the way I look at it. And knowing that even if the divorce is coming, which I'm not saying he may or may not, and usually a narcissist, he's not going to believe you if you had said that you were divorcing him. And within their realm, like, they're thinking, hey, I would leave you, you're not going to leave me, that egotistical side. So regardless, seeing those divorce papers can create an emotional reaction in pretty much everybody, even if they know they're coming, and it's not that we put all these facts or make it, sound like some kind of novel, or put things that are talking badly about one person or the other. In Florida, that's not necessarily what we do in our pleadings, but it's still asking for divorce, saying the marriage is has irreconcilable differences. Sometimes if there's substance abuse stuff, we do put that in there and those allegations, but at the end of the day, you want to know what really tips them off is the request for alimony. So seeing that in writing, that puts most men and women over the edge, as we have talked about alimony before.
Yeah, and that's whether they're a narcissist or not, really.
Correct. So then
Yeah.
you can just, imagine then 10 times it, the reaction.
Oh boy. Okay. I know I probably went way off with that, but I was trying to figure out, like, wait a minute. Okay, all right. So, I mean, please tell me I'm not the only one who didn't know that there are, private process servers. I had no idea. Okay.
Well,
Anyway.
and that's because you hadn't been sued a whole lot. So that's a good thing, Julie. That's a good thing.
Oh, yes, I've never been sued, and I hope it stays that way. All righty. So, what are some of the first steps that a woman should take when they're confronting a narcissist with divorce? I noticed that you said that this is really the time, pay attention to what your attorney is telling you.
Yes, absolutely. And you should consult with an attorney when you're thinking about divorce before you think, well, I'm going to talk to him because I know if I don't make him mad, it's going to be better. It doesn't really work like that. So talk to an attorney and particularly explain to them what your husband's like and what kind of person he's like. Not, all attorneys may understand or not, but we certainly do. That is certainly, what we deal with a lot. And I want to know what kind of person your husband is in order to help strategize. And it does make a difference. So you do need an attorney who understands a narcissist and knows best how to not only approach them, kind of what works and what doesn't. And in order to really move you forward, to, achieve your overall goals and outcomes.
Yeah. So this is not the time to try to wing it and try to figure things out for yourself.
Correct.
Mm,
Correct.
mm,
And that's whether you're divorcing a narcissist or not. As I have told you, you need an attorney. But even more so when you are dealing with that kind of personality, you need some extra support and strategy before you just start saying things that you're going to regret.
mm. So that sounds like you're saying that the person should do some research on what narcissism really is.
I think that's very helpful. And the more, and again, we've talked about this, I think probably every episode that comes up about therapy. That helps you understand what is going on in a therapeutic setting. And I'm all for researching and learning what you can. There's a plethora of information out there. But your therapist, but a therapist has a degree that is not Google, and your attorney has a degree and experience that's not Google. So at the end of the day, take that with a grain of salt, educate yourself, but make sure you align with professionals that can truly help you understand the situation you're in. And again, how you present in that situation. And then as well as, with your attorney understanding that, so that, you know, I'm not going to say it goes as smoothly as possible, but really that the case is directed to achieve your goals.
Mm, okay. All right. Yeah, because I mean, you think about it, this is what you went to school for. This is what you've studied for so many years. You have a good understanding of what needs to be done. You, and as well as a mental health professional, they can guide you as well in the right direction.
Yeah, and help you also with the emotional distress that comes along with it, because now you're in a position where you're actually confronting him in a way that you probably haven't before. Like I talked about, you may have talked about divorce, you may have had fights and that has come up, but you've never done it before. So therefore, he's going to have a different reaction when it's real.
Mm, yeah. And we've talked about the fact that they are master manipulators. So,
Yes. And, and that is something that, understanding you're going into this, and are they going to manipulate the situation and try to manipulate you? And they very well may. And the reality is that if they do that, it's for their own purposes. There's nothing really that they are saying or doing that is going to be for your benefit. So if they manipulate you to stay and, keep you, pull you back in, it's just going to be harder to quit, to leave the next time. And, you have to recognize that you have been emotionally abused. You've been, in this roller coaster of a relationship. So your decision making may not always be that clear.
it'll be harder to leave the next time if they rope you back in. I didn't think about that. Hmm,
Yeah, because you're just
interesting.
like, you got the courage before. And if they manipulate you into the situation, and they also, you know, I think of an example where, okay, they draw you back in, get you to not move forward. And now they know, hey, you had enough gumption to go do that. So now, how do I protect myself financially from you? What can I do to then divorce you, but me be in a better position or have an advantage? That's the way their mind is working.
Yeah, so they're preparing themselves for something that you were gonna do, and then they're gonna just go ahead and do it so they have the upper hand.
Exactly.
Wow. Hmm. All right. Now, okay, so that's, some of their reactions. What are some of their other reactions whenever they're presented with a divorce?
Well, and then we talked a little bit about this, like they're not going to take responsibility for the end of the marriage or any problems in it. Now, they may, through the manipulation or try to placate you and attend therapy, but what you will see is that will not last. In my experience, I've had women say, well, they went to the first couple sessions and then they're like, I don't like that person, because it kind of doesn't take long for therapists to figure things out. And generally, not that I've ever been in those therapy sessions with like our clients, but I'm sure they ask questions that narcissist doesn't want to answer, and then sees it again as an attack. Because this divorce, they're going to see it as a direct attack. And so even within therapy, if they hear a question that they don't want to answer, they're going to see that as an attack.
And so they're going to blame everyone but you. They're going to blame everyone, including the kids.
Probably just not themselves, because again, they're not going to take responsibility for the end of the marriage or for you filing divorce. And that's when sometimes, some of the behaviors and the emotional abuse we've talked about in earlier episodes kind of comes back. And then he's like, well, you're crazy. You're on pills. You're a drunk. I'm going to take the kids from you because they're under attack. They're going to attack you back. And nothing they have to say or do is going to be to your benefit or very nice.
Mm. And that's where that emotional abuse comes in.
Yes.
Mm. Wow. Okay. Alrighty. So they don't take responsibility for their own actions. They blame everyone but themselves. And they may even blame the children, but then they may say that you're trying to steal their children.
Yes, because, again, it's not really the reality. It's their perception. And again, their perception is distorted. And so, yes, you're keeping my children from me. You want to take all our money. They may even make up, false accusations about you, particularly to family and friends. They will most likely disparage you, because their mindset is basically to win at all costs. Because now this is almost from a game that they have to win, but they only win if they see you lose. And that's, different from what I talk about is, with healthy psychological people, they don't have to they don't have to agree, and the divorce can even be adversarial. But for one person to win, it doesn't mean the other person has to lose. But that the narcissist, because as long as you both are achieving your goals, you're both really winning for what you want. And that doesn't have to be with the focus that the other person loses. And so that's the difference, because the narcissist, whether they want it or not, they don't want you to have it. So it's not about what they want necessarily. Well, I guess what they want is for you to have nothing. So they're, the way they present in the divorce is pretty much, oh, you want the house? No, I want the house. You want the car? No, I want the car. Even if it's a minivan. No, I got to have that. I got to have the kids. I want the dog, like everything, because they're trying to punish you for moving forward with this divorce.
And they don't want any, well, I mean, they may want some of it, but like you said, and it's a minivan, they're probably not going to even drive it. They'll sell it as soon as they get it, right? I mean, come on now.
I'm not disparaging the minivan,
No,
but I'm just saying, really, I mean, I can see saying, no, I got to have, the Mercedes or, the Porsche, but we're really going to take the minivan from the mom with the kids. But yes.
Right, exactly. No, not disparaging the minivan at all, because they definitely serve a purpose. Definitely, definitely. Yeah. Oh my. You're listening to Women Winning Divorce with Heather Quick, owner and attorney for Florida Women's Law Group. We're going to take a quick break here, and when we return, we're going to talk more about what to expect during a divorce as far as a narcissist is concerned. Stay with us. Welcome back to Women Winning Divorce with Heather Quick, owner and attorney for Florida Women's Law Group. Heather, what to expect during a divorce? Now, this is already a stressful time, right? But it seems like it's probably going to be even more stressful when you're divorcing a narcissist.
There's that added component, because it's not as if that person that you've been married to, you've experienced it. When you were together, think of how he treated you. Now you're leaving. So let's be clear. He's not, going to be any nicer. And I would expect how he's going to react. But at the end of the day, what I hope is that women recognize, hey, but I'm feeling stronger every day that I'm moving forward. But it's more challenging because they're going to kick it up a notch. And on the manipulation, the bullying, and just the way they treat you in order, again, to punish you. And if you know that going in, like no matter what you try to do to appease them, like that going in, I think you can just, know, hey, it's time to suck it up. Let's get through this, because there will be an end, at least to the divorce.
Okay. Now, when you talk about bullying and manipulation, I mean, what can someone expect?
Well, they are really, the narcissists are very vengeful. They like a good fight. They're going to use your own words against you. And they really are going to start to make you question yourself. They may text you, email voicemails. They may threaten you with horrible things. They're definitely going to accuse you of things. And they also can be very artful. Like it's like one extreme to the other, but like they can be very artful in crafting these emails to make you sound really bad. But it's like, just because they wrote like, oh, I can't believe you did this yesterday in front of the children. And how could you say blah, 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 and accuse me of being a bad father right in front of the kids. And they were crying and I really had to calm them down. So in their mind, if they write it down, it's true. And that messes with your mind. And what you got to be understand is don't go shooting something off in response that reflects badly on you, or don't text, don't leave a voicemail in anger or in any kind of retaliation, because they think they're building a case against you. So yes, there is an appropriate response, and that, is why you need to really talk to your attorney and stay calm, when you see these, because you may receive a lot of emails, a lot of text messages, just ongoing. So you gotta really stay strong. And I know you're making crazy faces over there, Julie, but this is very normal for this type of personality.
Okay, that's harassment.
Yes.
Is that what harassment means? I mean, in the legal sense?
Yes. And so that's why when this happens, we want you to save everything. Some people are like, I just deleted, I can't look at it. I'm like, okay, well, one, if the two of you have children, there are going to be some things you have to communicate about. And because then what they're doing is harassing you to the point, it's like, well, where can I even find something that I need to know or that needs to be communicated? And I am trying to not engage in this behavior, but then I could be seen as being unresponsive. So you got to have some solid advice on how to respond in these situations.
Okay, let me ask you this. Should you always communicate through your attorney?
There may be a period of time when that is the best way for this to happen, because sometimes in the beginning, when the emotions and everything are really high, that might be helpful. But and we're going to talk about in another episode, co-parenting, because you can't just not respond. Yeah. And for the rest of your life, you're not going to have that attorney, but it is a process. And, that's again where therapy, and then, we'll talk more about it in the co-parenting. So maybe in the beginning part of the divorce, and then, we help you with the communication and, best practices. And hey, you got 10 emails. Okay, block them, read it, and then let's set some rules. All right. I'm going to only check email once a day. So if it's an emergency, you should text or pick up the phone. Because they want it in writing, because they want to portray their version of whatever went on. So that's part of it. And it's setting some boundaries, some ground rules. It doesn't happen overnight. I can tell you it's something that, but if we're able to help you from the very beginning, we can really help you and set some guidelines on, hey, this is what will work best. And this is what we advise you do.
Whew, okay. So you should expect bullying and manipulation, right? But
Yes.
also within that, it sounds like they're just really dragging things out.
Yes. And very often so, because one, through the manipulation, they may say, oh, I'm going to agree, just lying and dragging it on. And, you're not going to snap out of this pattern of believing them overnight just because you want a divorce. And I know you think that, but it doesn't happen because, I'll have, over the years, many women, well, no, we're going to come to an agreement. And I'm like, okay, now let's set a time frame on that, because 6 months from now, you're going to come to me and say, well, you haven't done anything. Like, why aren't we done? And it's like, because for 3 months, you said we're talking it through. So I'm very transparent with clients. If you want to work it out, hey, go for it. But let's agree that you're going to 30 days, because they're going to drag it out or say, oh, let me have my attorney look at it, and then back and forth. Maybe trying to, run you out of money. I mean, even though there is marital money, but that is to their advantage many times. And just because, again, it's a game and it's just fighting, and they're trying to make things as hard and dramatic as possible. So you don't see them often, coming to agreements. They may make offers or attempt to negotiate, but never kind of get to the bottom line.
Oh my. Okay, so another thing you mentioned was lies. Okay, will they lie? I mean, this is bad, right? To lie to the judge? I know it's bad. I'm just because why? I mean,
Well,
you shouldn't
this,
do that.
I don't know. Julie, I've been a lawyer for a very long time. And I will tell you, I'm shocked if they tell the truth. I got to tell you, I expect them to lie. I kind of know where their version of the truth is. And it, that's their reality. But, our clients easy to lie. And I have to tell you, I don't know the truth, because I wasn't there. I know what our clients have told us. And I know, and I see it usually from their side. And so I can recognize where I think, hey, I think they are lying. And that's, part of then how do you combat that? But yes, very often they, are not completely honest in court, probably to their attorneys. I mean, more likely. But again, they live in a different universe of their reality, because if they were living in the same universe with the rest of us, they probably wouldn't have this personality disorder. That's part of it. They just have this unrealistic view of themselves and of the world around them.
Mm.
So that is how they carry it through, and they're really good at it. And they're very good at, because they're charming. Remember that we talked about, how they lure you in. I mean, none of that doesn't all go away. And then they use that, in front of the court with their attorney to persuade, they work to persuade people to like them and believe them.
Mm. Do they always keep the same attorney? Because it seems like that's another tactic that could kind of drag this out.
Um, yes, and many times they're, if they're difficult, I would guess, because I don't necessarily know, but sometimes you will see them with multiple attorneys, and sometimes actually they have been so difficult that you may end up having to switch attorneys, or feel as though you do, because you don't feel like you're getting anywhere. And that happens a lot. And so that's why I want to talk, like, I mean, I'm glad that came up, and that was a good question about the changing attorneys, because too often women do come to our office and they already have an attorney, but they're like, this has been going on, for 6 months to a year, and we've never been to court and we haven't done things. and they've spent a lot of money and they really haven't gotten very far. And a lot of times that is because of their husband, the narcissist on the other way, is just really manipulated the situation. And I would say the attorney doesn't maybe recognize that and doesn't see that as, they're like, oh, we're trying to work out a deal. We're trying to do this. They said they were going to provide this information. And you really have to, go to the courts to get resolution and to move the case forward. So sometimes you'll see that actually where the wife is the one who does change attorneys for probably different reasons.
Oh, okay. Okay. All righty. So it's possible that the wife will change attorneys and they also may not keep the same attorney either, just as a delay tactic to drag everything out.
And it does. And whatever the reason, anytime there's a change in attorneys, it of course there's got to be a delay. The other side's got to get up to speed. Is it gonna, yeah, of course it costs more money. You don't have the history. You got to get up to speed and do what's necessary. And that's on any side. And it definitely can delay a case without a doubt.
Another tactic is hiding assets.
Yes. The narcissist is unlikely to really care if you or your children are fairly provided for after the divorce. The way they see it is, well, you want it out, see ya, but this is my money and I'm not sharing it. So they will do whatever they can to lower their income, maybe hide assets, certainly to be, what they most commonly do is they're very uncooperative in the providing documentation. And that does drive up attorney's fees because, there are the rules in Florida about, hey, this is what you each have to hand over to one another. And if the side doesn't provide you with the complete documentation, then you have to issue subpoenas. That's more costly and it takes longer. Or you have to take depositions of others who have the financial information rather than your husband providing it.
Okay. All righty. So wait a minute. All right. So, okay. So some of these things, they go together, right? And for me, it keeps going back to they're just dragging this out. Why? Because this is not on their terms. It's something that you brought to the table. They're not in control. So this is a way for them to control the situation.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. Great summary.
Okay. And this is going to take more money from you because, and I didn't realize this, which is why I'm going back to it. Every extra thing that has to be done has a cost. You got to pay for it.
Right.
Wow. I didn't think about that.
Most people don't.
Yeah.
Until they're in it, and then they recognize that it's happening and the delays and the costs keep going up, and they're trying to reconcile how and why this is happening. And many times they were unaware, and fair enough, because clients rely on their attorneys to get them out of this. But when you've been married to a narcissist and for however long, it doesn't happen overnight. Mm-hmm. And it does take time, and they are more difficult. They certainly can be, and that makes things a little more costly and take a little longer.
Yeah. You're listening to Women Winning Divorce with Heather Quick, owner and attorney with Florida Women's Law Group. We're taking a quick break right here, but when we return, we're going to talk a little bit more about what to expect during a divorce and also the steps you can take to stay sane. That's very important. Stay with us. Welcome back to Women Winning Divorce with Heather Quick, owner and attorney for Florida Women's Law Group. So we left off and we had two more things to talk about as far as what to expect when we're divorcing someone that's a narcissist, right? Two more things. What to expect in court and also the smear campaign. Okay. In court, that's probably a lot to deal with.
Yes, and the reason I want to say in court is because if you've been listening the whole time, we know the narcissist likes to fight because they really want you to lose more than they want to win, if that makes sense, you
It
know?
does.
And so, therefore, when you go to mediation, now, yes, we have definitely successfully settled cases. And sometimes it just has to be exactly the right mediator and the right strategy so that we can settle it. What you need, I think, is helpful to prepare yourself for the inevitable trial. And don't and try, hey, it's sometimes it's disheartening. It's like, oh my gosh, more money. We have to go to a full trial. However, sometimes that's just what it takes. And it's okay. That's why we have judges and courts. But it's just understanding that that may be where this ultimately gets decided. And so that, he's not thinking, oh, I'm winning, so I'm taking this to trial, because again, he's just trying to continually control your emotions.
Mm. We've talked about mediation in the past. So basically, you're telling me mediation probably just won't work.
I will tell you, in most cases, we successfully settle. This, when you have that kind of personality, we may not. Even though it looks like a settlement is completely reasonable and in the terms, it's like we get maybe really far. We might spend the whole day, but yet he doesn't at the end. And I think it's more of a situation of knowing, because we have to go to mediation. You can't say, oh, hey, judge, he's a narcissist, we're not going. Doesn't work that way. It's going to be court order. We will have to attend. However, we just may not get there. He may be like, nope, you're not entitled to alimony, period. I'm not paying it. That could be his opinion. And no matter what his lawyer says, no matter, what we try to negotiate, it has to go before a judge. And that's okay. Like I said, that is not losing. Sometimes that's just the way we have to proceed. And many times, if you can stay strong enough through that last push, you're going to be okay. You're closer than you think. That's why hiring experienced attorneys to help advise you as far as, hey, this is probably what will happen in court, so that you don't feel as though, oh, this is going to be worse off for me.
Okay. All right. It's just basically you need to get your mind right now. You need
As
to,
best you can. Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Got it. There's also going to be a smear campaign, which you mentioned a little bit of this earlier, but he's also going to go on a smear campaign.
Don't be surprised if he does. And if he's telling neighbors and your family, your friends, really trying to, again, he's trying to paint you as the villain and the one at fault. We're in Florida, which is a no fault state, but that doesn't mean the narcissist doesn't want to blame you and want sympathy from the other, so that he, from the outside looking in, once again, is perceived as the hero. And the hero, I'm taking care of the kids because she left us and she's treated us terribly and would never cook or clean, and now she's run off with some other guy. Just can totally fabricate a story. And that is hurtful, and sometimes just quite surprising that the friends, you thought were your friends, are believing it. And again, this is where hold these emotions close. Don't let him affect the way you feel, which is very difficult. It's really difficult. But if you kind of know, hey, this might happen, at least you're a little bit more prepared to guard your emotions.
Right. And that's really where it comes in as far as that next part, the steps you can take to stay sane.
Exactly, because it's hard to ignore. And this also is somebody that you did love, you were married to, and you thought they loved you. And I think that's why it is just surprisingly so difficult, because of that. You just really thought they did love you on some level, and that they could be treating you this way. And when you feel bad or you react, that is giving him control of your reactions and your emotions. And that is what he's going for. And, and not to, I mean, but it does kind of make light. Okay, so, have you ever heard of somebody pushes your buttons? They're just push my buttons. The question is, why are you giving them your buttons? Hold on to your buttons. I say that to my kids all the time. Today, I'm keeping my buttons. Don't push my buttons. They're mine. I'm not going to let you push my buttons today. And now they turn on me and, oh, Mom, boop, boop, boop. We pushed your buttons. We pushed you over. So it happens to all of us. But if you can look at it that way, no, today I'm going to hold this in. It's not going to be easy, but it'll be worth it.
Yeah. I'm not letting the internet company push my buttons today. But you know what? We're going to move on. That's what I'm thinking. At any
There
rate.
you go. There you
But,
go.
and it's interesting, but you can apply that to so many different things, not just in this situation. So it's really helpful. It is.
Well, it's because this touches, that's the thing about divorce and family law. It's your life out on display. You're having to share things with your attorneys that you probably never thought you'd have to discuss or open up. And that makes anyone vulnerable. And so, it's hard. It is hard to be vulnerable and then have a difficult, spouse. And, this is costing money plus emotionally draining some days. And he's talking bad about me. But it's a marathon, like I said before, not a sprint. And if you can maintain the high road, it is worth it, because when you look in the mirror at the end of the day, hey, I carried myself throughout this, with integrity, and I learned how to, at least control my reactions. I'm not asking anybody to be emotionless. Like, of course, that's why they're doing it. If it didn't create that reaction, they wouldn't do it. That's why they do it. And it's just the boundaries and kind of creating a new way to communicate with your spouse. So you're learning a lot. You have to learn a lot about yourself and how you want to set those boundaries and what you can handle as far as text, emails, voicemails, all of those things.
Yeah. In giving them some type of response is just going to feed their ego and feed that narcissism, and it's just not going to turn out well.
That's right. And they continue with the manipulation and, continue to turn your words on you. So it's pulling back and limiting and understanding, hey, when do I have to communicate with my spouse? And, when do I not have to? And how do I handle myself? And, and I know we're talking about co-parenting with a narcissist next week, but that does change it, and that's why you need an attorney, because it's like, we got to tell you, hey, you guys got to communicate on some level in regards to the children. I know he's trying to manipulate everything. So let's kind of come up with a game plan for you as to how you're going to respond. And let's work on the ways we are going to respond to this, so that then you can begin to learn a new way to interact with him that hopefully lessens the triggers, because he knows how to trigger you.
Yeah. So it sounds like someone needs to say, this is business, period.
Yeah, and it is. It's a new way of communicating with them, a new way of operating in this relationship. but it will help keep you sane. It will help you really stabilize from that roller coaster of emotions that he would prefer to have you on. And again, that's why it's good to have a therapist. Therapist is really the best person to help you create these boundaries and help you understand your best ways of communicating and which ways, you should have that communication with him, considering your emotional well-being.
Yeah. You know what? And this keeps coming up. As we've said before, it continues to come up, the need or it's a good idea to have a therapist, you
Yes.
know? Have that phone number in your back pocket.
It is because I will tell you, just in general life, like, hey, we have stressors all the time. And divorce is one of the highest stressors, and it does affect your mental health. And it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. And just to have an objective advice, guidance from a therapeutic side. A lot of people are like, well, we're just going to rely on you, Heather, as our attorney. It's like, but we are looking at it from the advocacy and the legal side. And yes, it's another person, but it really will help you. And that's going to really give you that great new foundation for your life.
Yeah. You're not a therapist, even though I feel like you know some stuff, Heather. You know some stuff.
I know some stuff. I can play one on TV, but I don't have that degree. No. I do not. And it's just enough to tell you, like, hey, talk to somebody who studied this and who can really dive into what makes you tick and how to really rebuild yourself and get healthy.
You know what? That's a good point that you just mentioned. They can help you figure out what makes you tick in addition to helping you figure out what's wrong with the other person. But they can help you figure out what makes you tick so you don't fall into their traps.
Exactly. And that's only going to help you. It only helps all of us. If we can really understand, hey, these things trigger me, maybe I will react differently and let's see how I feel. And, all that self-awareness, hey, it's not for the faint of heart. Sometimes we got to look at ourselves and say, all right, well, I was in this relationship too, but now I'm getting out. So I need to look out for myself and understand maybe what brought me there, why I'm getting out, and build on that and have some grace for yourself as well, because, it's a process and it doesn't happen overnight. And the more tools you have, the more support from experienced therapists and attorneys, the better off you're going to be.
And you continue to talk about therapy. And I think about this and I say, well, my friends, they're kind of my therapy, but no, you need something better than that.
Well, I think so, because it's objective. And that's why, your attorney's objective and your therapist will be objective, because we're here to tell you the truth, and that truth might hurt and you might not want to hear it. And hopefully, and our friends love us. So, hey, even if they're given tough love, it's different. So sometimes if you're really wanting that growth, if you're really desiring that change, which I believe these women are, I mean, they are going to get a divorce. So they want something different in their life. And that's a way to, have that objective guidance and self-reflection. And again, that's why, typically your husband, your narcissist husband, is not going to therapy. They don't want to examine themselves. They don't want to change anything. They're happy.
Yeah.
With the way they're going through life, they're just making everybody else miserable.
Heather, is there anything else you'd like to add on this topic?
I really think we have dug deep into it, and I hope it's helpful to, those women listening, or, if they find themselves in that situation or know someone who is, and, we'll reach out and call us. We certainly, can assist them through this divorce process and refer them to a therapist. We're going to do one more week on it, and then we're going to move on. So, I hope for those listening, and this is touching a nerve and, sounds familiar, please come back and listen next week.
Yes. Next week, we're talking about co-parenting with the narcissist. Yeah. Heather, it's always great to see you.
Good to see you too, Julie. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Women Winning Divorce. We hope you found information to help you navigate your divorce. If you like our show, please take the time to subscribe and provide a 5-star review. If you need more information, please visit our website at womenwinningdivorce.com, where you will find previous episodes and other helpful content. Join us next week as we continue our journey of women winning divorce.
The best data warehouse isn't a warehouse at all. It's a data lakehouse. Because everything you can do with a data warehouse, you can do better with a data lakehouse. How about SQL Analytics with 12 times better price performance than a data warehouse? Streaming data and ETL, those come standard. Machine learning, yes. Governance, data sharing, predictive analytics, they all work better on Lakehouse.